Now the Ibanez RG8 is the entry-level 8-string guitar in Ibanez's series. But is it worth it and does it djent? Let's have a look. Now, if someone is planning to go for an 8-string guitar, it's pretty safe to say that you've either played on a 6-string or a 7-string for quite a bit of time, or the factor that you might be a big fan of Meshuggah or Animals and Leaders and directly deep diving into the 8-string end. Now, considering that this is the entry-level 8-string guitar on the Ibanez's range, there isn't a lot of bells and whistles which is accompanying it. But what it does give is a pretty solid guitar to start off with. Now let's go through the specs first. As you can see, there isn't anything fancy about this particular guitar, and it pretty much doesn't have too many deviations from a basic guitar what's available on the market. Now the only thing to be noted here is if you're picking up this guitar post 2015 or the models which are actually made post 2015, you will get a mahogany body, and the ones which are produced before have a basswood body. Now, even though the models which are made before 2015 are basswood bodies, they're not very bad sounding. Mine actually is a basswood body and it's made in 2014. And as you can hear from the mix, it holds up pretty well. Now let's get into the build quality and all the hardware that it comes along with. Right off the bat, it's pretty easy to say that the neck is the best feature which is there on this particular guitar. The RG8 comes with a Wizard 2 neck, which is a 5-piece neck, and it's very comfortable. Now for anyone who's shifting from say probably a 6-string guitar or a 7-string guitar, this neck is gonna feel right at home. It's not way too broad wherein you feel that okay, you're holding a cricket bat, and for you US audiences out there, it's like your baseball with a wider bat. The neck is thin enough wherein you can actually grasp your complete hand around it, your thumb will not pain, and there's only one thing which we have to kind of keep in mind here, that the string spacing is actually quite different when you compare it to a 6-string guitar. The strings are much more closer. So if you're somebody who wants to play a lot of finger picking, hybrid picking, or a combination of any of these, you will have to keep in mind and adapt yourself to this particular string spacing. Now the Ibanez's come with the A and JJ neck pocket. So this means that you can access the higher frets with quite ease, and it kind of contours along to your palms. So coming to the fretwork, it was pretty decent, not the best of quality as I would say, but there wasn't any fret sprouts, any dead spots or anything in between. Now coming to the tuners, Ibanez offers some of the best entry-level tuners, as I would like to call them. This is something which I've already addressed in the review of my Ibanez RG8, so there's a link on top and you can check it out. Now, holding tune was something that this guitar never had a problem with, and I'm tuned to the standard F sharp, so the 8th string being the F sharp. Now, coming to the nut of the guitar, it's a pretty straightforward plastic nut which you would see in most of your guitars, and the slotting is in such a way that it can hold, the usual string gauges for an 8th string guitar. I did, however, try to put in the Ernie Ball skinny top heavy bottom 8th string. We need to keep in mind that the 8th string of the Ernie Ball skinny top heavy bottom 8th set is actually an 80 gauge. So although the tuners can actually hold it quite well, the nut isn't slotted to hold an 80. So what happens is it pretty much just stays in place on top of it. It's not an issue per se because the head tilt kind of accommodates enough tension to be created. But then if you are somebody who wants to use a skinny top heavy bottom, you will have to slot out a bit more and then add the string. Now coming to the other side of the strings, the bridge what we get with the Ibanez RG8 is pretty standard. It's a block bridge, and by the looks of it, it's not a very high-end material what is used for creating this, but it's good enough to build the tension what is needed. Now coming to the electronics and especially the pickups, this is where the guitar is at its lowest. Now all the ports which are used in this particular guitar and the wiring is up to the mark. The only thing which kind of does hinder your playability is the stock pickups which come with this guitar. Now the stock pickups are fairly good enough whenever you're playing in your cleans, but whenever you add distortion to your sound, that's when things kind of start getting a little bit messy. It tends to get a bit muddy when you add in a lot of distortion, and you can hear the string buzz, or rather anything just buzzing every single time that you're trying to record something from it. Even for the intro track, I had to keep the noise gate quite high just to accommodate this and get a good sound out of this guitar. Now I am assuming the factor that if this was a mahogany guitar, there would be a bit more warmness to the tone, but then it still would not help too much because of the pickups. So if I was somebody who is actually using this guitar on the road and kind of playing stage shows all the time, I would honestly change the pickups, and this is the only gripe which I have with this particular guitar. So in conclusion, the Ibanez RG8 is one of the best entry-level 8-string guitars that you can get into, and well, it does djent. Now considering the fact that it has a few shortcomings, and the pickups being the only one of them, it's something that a lot of us can actually live with. For touring musicians and everyone, you can change it, but for the bedroom musician, it's quite good enough for you to just djent on the 8th string. So what do you guys feel about this guitar? Have you ever made any modifications? Have you changed it up? Is there anything in the review which I missed? Let me know in the comments down below. If this is the first time that you're watching our channel's videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. So if you liked watching this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up icon as well, and as always, stay metal.